So hello guys. So last time was our first lesson. This is going to be our second lesson. I'll get right to it. I hope the last lesson was fine. So I'll just start. So we'll go over prepositional phrases that we briefly we just completely skipped over last time. I'll go over it today. And next, idioms. We already did idioms. I talked about it. Maybe we'll do some examples on idioms, right? So yeah, we'll do some examples on idioms, and then we'll go over subject verb agreement briefly, and that will be it for this lesson. So you can skip through if you already know a lot about prepositions, and just skip around the video if you'd like. So I'll just start. So when you first look at these list of words, right, which is in front of you, you might get intimidated, but if you look closely, you'll realize that most of these words, if not all, you already know, aboard, about, above, across, until, onto, except, due to, down, behind, below, between, beyond. You probably know all of these words, which is why it shouldn't be that intimidating. Um, and you don't have to memorize them since you already know them, and you don't have to know exactly what prepositional phrases are and the whole formula behind it. So like below, prepositional phrase equals preposition plus noun plus any attached describing phrase. It might sound like a formula, and you don't have to know all these formulas. A lot of grammar is like that, um, as long as you familiarize yourself with it. So I mean, right here it says it, just familiarize yourself with it. If you do that, it should be fine, honestly. um, it says here, especially the bold ones that are particularly important. That's true. To, at, of, on, if you can see it. For, from, in, into, with. You use these all the time. Essentially what prepositional phrases are, essentially what prepositions are, they're essentially kind of these words that link ideas, right? So at, maybe you're talking about a place and you're talking about some event that happened, and you want to connect these two phrases, you put at in between, right? Something at this place. So this thing happened at this place, right? So it kind of connects these two ideas to form a complete sentence. So these are essential to form sentences, and I'll bet you already know all of them, and you probably can do them very well, because without prepositions, honestly, you won't be able to speak in coherent English. You won't be able to put phrases together. You won't be able to say complete sentences, right? So we can go through these two examples. Throughout the living room was the scent of fatty crabs that had expired weeks ago. So we can kind of group this into kind of like three phrases. Fatty crabs that had expired weeks ago. So it's talking about these crabs that had expired throughout the living room. Something's around throughout the whole living room, across it, and within it, and scent, and there are these different ideas, and you want to connect all of them. So you're going to use prepositions. The scent of fatty crabs that had expired weeks ago. So that of right there, you can see over here, of in bold. That of connects these two phrases. The scent of what, right? Because there's a lot of different scents out there. The scent of fatty crabs that had expired. So it gives a label to that scent. That scent, it's of fatty crabs that had expired. So there, right there, that's a preposition that connects these two ideas. And the next example, I put my sister on the diet after it worked so well for me. So your sister, you have the diet, you want to connect those two, on the diet. Um, it's kind of like an idiom, right? If you take on literally, on the diet, that doesn't make sense, because the diet is an abstract concept. So kind of like the idiom, but you probably understand what they mean. On the diet means your sister is doing that diet, taking that diet. So the on essentially connects the diet and your sister. Your sister is doing that diet, taking that diet, or she's on the diet. So it connects these two ideas to form a more complete phrase. And after that, you have more stuff. After it worked so well for me. So me, that's kind of the subject, right? Or you. And worked so well. What worked so well? Well, the diet worked so well. And for you. So worked so well. That's already connected with diet. So you want to connect it with you or me, right? So it's kind of confusing. I'll just say me. So after connect, you want to connect it with me, so you have to put for in between. It worked so well for me. So who did it work so well for? For me. So it connect these two ideas, these concepts, to form something that makes more sense. So you can put all these together with these prepositions. You can form the complete sentence. I put my sister on the diet after it worked so well for me. Put her on the diet because it worked well for you. Um, so that's essentially the whole complete sentence that conveys a specific idea. And you can see, I hope you see how these prepositions connect individual concepts, ideas to form a complete sentence. So these are essential for the English language. If you want to speak English, you have to know prepositions, or you can't make any sentences, right? So you probably know them. So I'm not gonna go too much into detail over them, right? And there's an activity below, cross out the prepositional phrases. I don't think this is a good activity because on the actual SAT you won't have to do that. This is essentially testing your ability to kind of identify prepositions. You probably know these very well, and you can probably identify an incorrect sentence because it has a preposition. Even if you don't know what's a preposition, it might just feel off, or it's just incorrect, straight up incorrect. So it's very easy to identify, and you don't have to know how to identify them specifically. You just have to know how they work. And like if I excluded for, if I didn't put for over here after it worked so well on me, like that makes no sense, right? So you know that there has to be something in between, and for is one of those options, right? So um, that's, I think, how I would recommend you to attack prepositional phrases in the SAT writing. So we'll not do this activity since I don't think it's a good one. Idioms, I already talked about these, so I won't go over the concepts, right? Maybe a quick summary. Essentially, these are phrases that don't make sense straight up, but they do if you've heard them a lot. Essentially, these are phrases you have to know that convey a specific meaning, though literally they may not make sense. So I'm on the TV. You're not on top of the TV. There's a program playing on the TV, and you're probably in the program, and that program's playing right now on the TV, and that's what it means. You're on the TV, or I'm on the TV. So that's what idioms are. We could go over some examples. These you just have to know, okay? I mean, like, there's no other way around it, and you probably know them already, which is why I don't think it's a big deal. The initial topics aren't too hard, which is why I'm saying it's easy. Not everything's easy, okay, but these ones are. So we'll just go over the first one. When I first started running as a child, I never thought that I'd ever get the chance to be representative of my local club at the Sydney Regional Finals. So, so you know, so from this sense, apart from the underlined one, you can tell that what she's talking about was when she started running, um, she never thought she'd get the chance to kind of associate or represent her local club at the finals. So that's what you can understand from all the words around the underlined one. To be representative of my local club, um, that doesn't make sense. Again, it's an idiom question, so not much for explanation. But so we can go over the specific options. So in representation of, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't make sense. To represent, I think, makes sense because, as I said, she didn't think that she would represent her local club, or yeah, well, there's no other way around it. She didn't think she would represent her local club. Representation of my local club doesn't make sense. Representing my local club, um, but there's the chance before, right? I never get the chance in representing, so then it doesn't sound right. So never get the chance to represent. It fits well with the chance to represent my local club. Um, Fits well on both ends from the start and at the end. So to represent, I'll probably go with that, and that's also the correct answer. So that's it for idioms. I'll go over the next one. Subject verb agreement. This is the last one. So this one's a little bit funny. So you is smart or you are smart. You probably might be thinking this is very obvious. Yes, it is. It's you are smart. So essentially, you have these different words: is, are, wake, wakes, and these also similar to prepositions kind of link two different concepts, or specifically they link a subject and a verb. So here you is the subject, smart is the verb. You want to link it. You um is I would use, you is a person, so is I wouldn't use is, I would use are. You are smart. So if you're talking to people, you don't say they is, they are, right? um, this is very short. I'll go over a longer example. Every day the alarm clock goes off and we wakes up to confront our lives. This is a matter of plural and singular, right? So we wakes up. If I said, let's say Jason, right? A random person, let's say, and Jason wakes up to confront let's say up to confront his life. So, that would make sense because it's all singular, but it's plural. Why is it plural? Because there's a R over here, confront R, and there's a we over here. So it doesn't make sense to put wakes in between that midst. So we should put wake. We wake up to confront our lives. So it agrees. The subject and verb agree. Because it's plural, you have to put wake, not wakes. So you have to be familiar with the plural forms, singular forms, right? So here that's the correct answer, as I said. So he show or they show. So it's they show makes more sense. Show plural, they. um, or you could just, it says sounds more correct to you. Yeah, it just could be that just sounds more correct because you never hear anyone say he show, so that's incorrect. But go more specifically, it's because show, it goes with plural stuff. So they is plural, so they show, not he show. um, Here are some examples. Films by Miyazaki and Itami include Miyazaki's Spirited Away. Excites or excite the imagination. So um, So films, so that's plural. Since it's films, it has to be excite. So okay, here it says excite. Yep, so I'm correct. So films excite. Films don't excite. If it was maybe one film or a specific film, then that would be excites. And probably this including Miyazaki's Spirited Away. That's probably confusing you maybe, because Spirited Away, that's one movie. So is it excites because of that? No, it's not. Remember I went over non-essential phrases a moment ago? Or well, not moment, in the last video. This is why I think they should have talked about this way before. But including Miyazaki's Spirit Away, that's an example. That's not essential to the sense. Essentially, is just giving an example, right? So the main subject is still films, right? So films and that excite. So Spirit Away, that's an example of those films, but it's not a subject, so it has to be excite because it agrees with the plural form of films. Example 4, her jewelry, in addition to her Pokemon cards, was or were stolen by the robber. So again, this is not essential. Pokemon cards were, you might associate it with it because of the Pokemon cards, but it's an addition. What's the main subject? That's what you have to identify. Find the main subject. Her jewelry, that's the main subject. In addition, these are kind of like extra things. What's the main thing being talking about? The main object, or the main thing, right? Over here was films, right? That's the main thing they were talking about. Here, the main thing is jewelry. What happened to the jewelry, right? A way to identify them is maybe look at the verb stolen. Um, what is it mainly describing? It's describing the jewelry. Because of the in addition phrase, the Pokemon cards, they become extraneous things. They become extra things. The main thing is still jewelry. The main subject is still jewelry, and that's the thing that was mainly stolen, right? So jewelry is the subject, and that agrees with what was or were. Jewelry is a thing, so that would connect with was. Um, it could be multiple things. Even though it says her jewelry, it could be multiple jewelries, which kind of sounds contradictory. But it's labeling all those jewelries as jewelry. You don't say jewelries. right? So it's connecting all of them into jewelry. That's just the plural form is jewelry, so it has to be was. So right, so her jewelry was stolen by the robber. Let's see. Yeah, her jewelry, in addition to her Pokemon cards, was stolen by the robber. Again, cross out the extra stuff or the non-essential phrases that are often surrounded by commas, like I said, often. In addition to her Pokemon cards, remove that. Just look at her jewelry was or were stolen by the robber. Then it probably makes more sense. Her jewelry was stolen by the robber because were probably doesn't sound very right. So there we go. That's that subject verb agreement. I see these fairly often. You can practice these in Khan Academy if you'd like. If you'd like, you can do that. Uh, some more example. Well, there are a bunch of examples. Um, okay, I'll just go through one more example. I'll select at random. Okay, here. 14. Charles and Kate was over at the ball last night. So this is very simple. Charles and Kate, two people. It's not extra because of the and. If it's an in addition or something like that, it's extraneous, but it's not. Charles and Kate, they are the main subjects. Both of them are equally important. Both of them were at the ball last night. Since two things become a plural, none of them are extra or extraneous. So Charles and Kate were at the ball last night. There, that's plural. Those two subjects were at the ball. Charles and Kate, the subject, they're at the ball last night. So there's your verb. So connect them with were, and that makes sense. Plural singular. Just keep check of that. You probably know all the plural singular forms. You might get messed up by these non-essential phrases that were in there previously. So just make sure to remove them. Remove them in your head when you do them to make things much simpler. And that'll essentially be it for subject-verb agreement. And yeah, well, what is this? Is this an example? Oh, this is not. Okay, never mind. So next we'll go over modifiers and some more stuff. And that'll be it for today. And thank you for watching. Uh, Hope you do well on your SAT writing in this coming December, or whenever you watch the video. When's your next SAT? I hope you do well. And that'll be it. Goodbye.